everybody, and welcome to Camp Randall Stadium, where once again the Manitowoc Lutheran Lancers take on Stevens Point Pacelli Cardinals. Here today with me today, Jared Jerichowiak, along with Greg Yonke. Dan Wynn and Bob Jomi are unable to make it due to previous commitments, so Greg and I said we would gladly take it. And Greg, when you talk about the Lutheran Lancers, what you got to first talk about are the injuries.
Well, they have some serious injuries, but they're kind of fortunate too. They lost their quarterback, Lohberger, on offense. And fortunate for them, he was also injured in the beginning of the year, and Resba replaced him for 3 or 4 games. And they knew this ahead of time. They had a week to prepare, so I'm sure they'll be ready.
Another thing when you talk about Manitowoc Lutheran, they were here last year, so the awe of Camp Randall Stadium might not affect them. How is that going to go? Well,
they have a lot of veteran kids. You know, some of these kids have been starting for 3 years. I'm sure they're excited as we are down here. It's a great high school atmosphere, but they have the butterflies out because they were here last year.
Okay, the cold weather, probably about 15, 20 degrees here tonight. How's that going to affect Manitowoc?
Well, you really don't notice it as a player and as a coach. Once you're out there, you're just so thrilled and excited to be here. They won't even notice it could be 85 degrees as far as they're concerned.
And as far as the other side of the ball, Stevens Point Pacelli, a couple big all-state guys?
They're tremendous. I studied them last week for a couple hours because in preparation for our game against La Crosse Aquinas, they have an all-state type running back in a kid named Ruda, but they do have a first-team all-stater in a set number 75 that's going to lead them to where they want to go. They're very tough.
Okay, as far as Jeff Lohberger's injury, you said Resba played a little this year, started last year for him. He has that senior leadership. Do you think he will step up for him?
Oh, I'm sure he will, and they're a run-oriented team. You know, I'm sure Fred wants to run the ball as much as possible and throw only when they have to. If they can keep the run going, they won't have to throw. That'd be the plan.
Okay, you mentioned the running game. Honke and Vandewater both well over 850 yards this year, along with Stevens Point Pacelli. They also have 2,000-yard rushers. Looking for a quick game tonight, possibly?
Well, it should be. The most impressive thing about the Lancers, they have 2 great running backs, but what really impressed me the most about them is they block so well for one another. Very, very unselfish team, very unselfish players, and they're very tough to tackle.
Okay, we'll be back with more pregame right after this.
You and a guest could spend an entire...
Simply be the 5th caller, call up to Norway Mountain, and you'll win 2 ski passes. And Greg, with this weather tonight, hey, skiing weather is coming up soon.
I should say I'm not much of a skier myself, but this is the time of year for it.
Okay, you mentioned Stevens Point Pacelli. They scored 63 points in the first half of their game last week. What do you think Manitowoc Lutheran has to do defensively to stop that offense?
Well, you got to, and I'm sure Fred will put 8, 9 men up in the box toward the line of scrimmage and load up. The problem with that is if they break that line of scrimmage and break through, they're going to be gone. And the other difficult thing to defense Pacelli will be that they not only have one running back that's close to 2,000 yards, the other kid's close to, or he's over 1,000, a big fullback. So it's tough to gear up and stop 2. It's tough enough to stop 1. So I'm sure the Lancers defense will have their hands full.
Okay, you've played in some during your playing days and your coaching days. You've been down in Madison or up in Green Bay or whatever. How much of a different atmosphere is it in a state championship game that the kids might be affected by?
Well, it's really not an effect as much as it is fun. You know, it's just such a great thing for the kids. You know, you start out, it's 90 degrees in the summer. You're practicing, and every high school player's goal is to get here to Camp Randall and play on the carpet. And only a select few make it. Now, the Lancers have been here 2 years in a row, and I'm sure they had fun this week preparing. Get a lot of hype through the media. The kids are all excited, and it's just a great thing for the Lancers.
And not only the Lancers, I see a lot of ex-Lancers out behind us. Andy Hillman's back here from last year. Corey Rodewald along with Ben Hartman. It kind of does a lot for alma mater. They also come out.
Well, it brings the entire community together. You know, not only just the Lancers, but it brings, you know, everyone's in town is excited. Everyone would be hoping and wishing. I just talked to David and Ryan. He said, what a great thing to bring back another state champion to Manitowoc. It would be fantastic.
Okay, you mentioned the state championships. Lutheran came a little short last year, kind of lost on a bomb at the end of the game. Do you think the Lutheran players this year were kind of playing with something burning inside of them?
I'm sure they had a theme going to get back to play on the carpet. You know, they talked in the paper about playing on the magic carpet. And, you know, I'm sure that being kids, it was a gut-wrenching defeat last year, but the kids are so resilient. They bounce back so quickly. And for the players to have another opportunity to get down here and do something about that gut-wrenching defeat last year, it's just a tremendous thing for them.
Like you said, it started back in August. It's ending here in November. About a 70-degree difference, and you Manitowoc Lutheran players, it's all worth it right now, running the tree. We'll be back with starting lineups right after this.
National Bank, your independent community bank with offices located throughout Manitowoc County. Starting today for Fred Heydrich's Lutheran Lancers at quarterback, number 15, Seth Resba. At halfback, number 22, Grant Wagey. Also at halfback, number 25, Seth Honke. At fullback, number 96, Ed Vandewater. At end, number 84, Scott Neuser. At tackle, number 74, Craig Haupt. At guard, number 53, Chuck Zivko. At center, number 65, Barry Nelson. At guard, number 50, Eric Mathias. At tackle, number 64, Phil Vandermouse. And at end, number 98, Jason Schrank. And starting for the Stevens Point Pacelli Cardinals on the defensive line is number 53, Brian Gladowski, number 67, Barry Hesch, and number 76, Mike Elsenrath. The linebackers are number 20, Andy Ligman, number 24, Adam Rutta, number 34, Nick Rolowski, number 66, Ken Krasuski, and number 86, Jeff Lila. The defensive backs are number 32, Kevin Sullivan, number 81, Jason Ledden, and number 83, Adam Mrazek. On offense, at quarterback is number 19, Jesse Pfluger. The running backs are number 24, Adam Rutta, number 32, Kevin Sullivan, and number 34, Nick Rolowski. The receivers are number 83, Adam Mrazek, and number 86, Jeff Lila. The offensive line at tackles are number 76, Mike Elsenrath, and number 53, Brian Gladowski. The guards are number 60, Scott McCartan, and number 66, Ken Krasuski. And at center is number 67, Barry Hesch. Then on defense for the Lancers, at end number 84, Scott Neuser. At end number 67, Randy Lepich. At tackle number 77, Tim Wake. At tackle number 44, Jason Nichols. At linebacker number 22, Grant Wagee. At linebacker number 91, Tom Vandewater. And at linebacker number 96, Ed Vandewater. At safety number 36, Scott Rasmussen. At safety number 25, Seth Honke. Also at safety number 20, Jerry Karolfi. And number 90, Dan Nolte. We'll be back with more pregame action right after this.
Hello again, high school sports fans. It's time to test your knowledge on rules of the game with You Be the Ref, sponsored by the Fitness Store. Here is tonight's question. The quarterback drops back to pass, is flushed out of the pocket, unable to find a receiver. He throws the ball to the ground. Is the correct answer A, penalize 5 yards from spot of the pass and count the down? B, penalize 5 yards from spot of pass and replay the down? Or C, penalize 5 yards from the line of scrimmage and count the down? Do you know the answer? We'll be back right after this.
Sled Dogs at the Fitness Store, Edgewater Plaza.
The correct answer is A, penalize 5 yards from the spot of the pass and count the down. Okay, welcome back to Camp Randall Stadium for the Division III championship with the Manitowoc Lutheran Lancers. 10-1 this year, facing off against the Stevens Point Pacelli Cardinal, 11-0 this year. Taking a look at some of the other scores today, La Crosse Aquinas defeated Watertown Luther Prep 14-10 in Division II, and in the game that just got over, Greg, Fond du Lac Springs defeated Green Bay Notre Dame 21-14.
That was a fantastic ball game. Actually, Notre Dame outplayed them for much of the game. Springs blocked a punt on the 5-yard line and scored on the next play. They recovered a fumble, picked it up inside the 5 and ran it in for a touchdown, and they scored their last touchdown on a fumble recovery from the 40 and 2 plays there in the end zone. So it was one of those games where they were outplayed, but somehow or another Highland pulled it off again.
It seems like they always do it. The old Fond du Lac curse, kind of like back in the old Lincoln days with the Fond du Lac Goodrich Cardinals.
Well, I remember Lincoln getting their number a few times, though.
Okay, we've already have one Fox Valley Christian Conference state champion. Let's see if we can have two. We'll be back right after this.
Welcome to Luigi's. May I take your order?
Luigi's Pizza Palace 3 and Italian restaurant. Pizza and a whole lot more.
This is not a good way to spend your day. Your belts and hoses should be replaced every 4 years. Replace old worn belts and hoses with quality products professionally installed at Novak Service Center. Is your car ready for this? Winterize your car now at Novak Service Center. Tune-ups, radiator service, tires, batteries, and all your car care needs. Because this is Wisconsin, and this is waiting for you.
Okay, well, welcome back. There you see it. The starting lineups are being announced, and now is the time when the butterflies come in your stomach?
Well, not really. I think they're past that. The butterflies kind of come in when you first come running out for your warm-ups and you look around at this vast stadium, and that's pretty exciting. But not right now, I don't think. They're over that.
Okay, there's a large contingent of Manitowoc Lutheran fans down below us, and across the way, the Stevens Point Pacelli fans trying to keep warm, putting their hands together. We mentioned earlier the Norway Mountain. If you haven't done it, get up, call that 1-800 number you saw. If you were the 5th caller, all you need to do is get 2 free ski passes, good any time throughout the winter. So, I mean, if you have Christmas break off, if you have there's snow in March, you have off for spring break, go on up and ski. I'm not a big skier myself, Greg, but hey, could you use them?
I'll tell you, last year at this time I was golfing. I golfed up until the 2nd week in December. It's quite a change, and had to put the golf clubs away a little earlier this year.
Yeah, it's a little different. Old Man Winter came in kind of early in tonight. Looks like the weather may play a part in the game, do you think? Or with the 2 running teams, how is that going to affect them?
Well, it's really a fast surface. It affected the playoff game, the Division I playoff game for public schools because they had a snowstorm, but it's not going to happen here. Fast surface, both teams are running. It's not going to have any effect.
Okay, we'll be back with kickoff right after this.
Today's office copiers, they sort and staple, enlarge and reduce. But when it comes to buying copiers, 2 things matter most: superior quality and outstanding service. Toshiba quality, because quality means perfect copies. And Ross Incorporated office machines, computer service, because outstanding service means quality you can rely on. Toshiba quality backed by Ross Incorporated office machines, computer service. Award-winning copiers you can count on to enlarge and reduce, sort and staple. Ross Incorporated office machines, computers.
Fatso Sub and Pizza. Call or fax in your order. And remember, no matter where you are, we're not far away.
Okay, there you see him, Coach Fred Heydrich, all bundled up. Game time temperature 15 with a light wind forecast for this evening. Chilly. Greg, if you're Coach Fred Heydrich, what did you tell your team before you went out there?
Well, you kind of remind them last year you were here, you played very well, you put some points on the board. You want to just let the kids try to relax and let their talent surface at this time.
Okay, Stevens Point Pacelli teeing up the ball back deep for Manitowoc Lutheran is Seth Honke, and he's joined back there by number 11, who is, don't have him on our roster actually here, Chris Schwarz. I believe. Sorry about that, Chris. And we're almost ready here for the Division III championship game, and the ball is in the air. Taken by Schwarz, who returns it across the 20, brought down at about the 24-yard line. Now's the time we'll see how Seth Resba, if there's going to be any problems with the exchange. You know, they've practiced together all week, him in the center. You think that'll be a problem, Mel?
No, it's just a problem for the 3rd-string quarterback for the Packers. These kids, they won't have any problem with that.
No TJ Rue, please, out there.
Please.
Resba under center. Pitches the ball left side to Vandewater. Vandewater cuts across, goes down the sidelines, dragged out after gaining a nice first down.
Beautiful play. That's Honke leading the block, and as I mentioned in the pregame, their backs block so well for one another. That's the play that hurt Ron Colley. It's a sweep left with Vandewater. If they can get 8-9 yards of crack, they'll keep the ball away from a high-powered offense by Pacelli.
How tough is a Vandewater and Honke to tackle?
Oh, they're loads. Vandewater's built like a Greek god. He spent the last 3 years at Y every day lifting weights, and you're not going to grab him with one arm. You have to get your face in front of him, and you got to hope that you can nail him that way.
Vandewater with 903 yards rushing, needs 97 yards to become the first Lutheran Lancer in history to rush for 1,000 yards. Seth Honke with something like 856. All he needs is 152. Possibly become the second. Like to see them both get 1,000. Up the middle to Schwarz, taken down after a gain of about 3.
I think what's going on, that's number 11. I believe that's Brent Hansen. He's a sophomore. Fred mentioned that he may start for Schwarz, who has an ankle injury. So I think we're seeing a young sophomore. He's already touched the ball twice now. I don't see any sophomore jitters.
Schwarz standing about, what, or excuse me, Hansen standing at about 5'8", goes 145. Kind of gets through the line undetected a few times with that small size.
I'm sure he's very quick.
Full house backfield of Lutheran. Give to Honky up the middle. Fights forward for about 5.
I'm seeing some good things by the Lancers. They're coming off the ball like they usually do, low and hard. They seem to be winning the battle at the line of scrimmage. Now, if they continue this, the confidence grows and they'll get the momentum going.
Grant Wagey and Brent Hansen seem to be rotating plays for Manitowoc Lutheran. 3rd down and 2 from the 43-yard line for Lutheran. There you see Resba under center. Gives the ball the first man through. Honky hit and squirts through for the 1st down.
Now Seth, actually, they had made contact on him at the line of scrimmage, and he did that on his own. We have a beautiful angle from up here. I don't know if the cameras can pick it up, but the big splits of the line by Lutheran High is really spreading out the defense by Pacelli, and the backs are able to find the holes.
1st and 10 Manitowoc. We're just underway here. 10:27 to go in the 1st quarter. No score yet. There you see Resba bringing his troops out of the huddle. The give goes to Vandewater, and he's stopped for about a 2-yard gain in the backfield. 2-yard loss, excuse me.
Well, that play, they faked the play that they had run previously to Honky and tried to give it off tackle. The timing wasn't there. Good penetration by the defense. Created some problems. You'll see the penetration by the right defensive end in white. They didn't get a good block by our left end for the Lancers, and he stoned them at the line of scrimmage. Really nice defensive play.
That was, I believe, number 81 for Stevens Point. Pacelli on the tackle.
Resba trying to run wide, trying to run a little quarterback keep with some blockers out in front. Pacelli's in a 44 defense, penetrating 44, bringing some linebackers, able to stuff the run for the last 2 plays. This is what the Lancers want to try to avoid, 3rd and long.
3rd and 12 for Manitowoc Lutheran. And like you said, number 98 into the game now for Manitowoc Lutheran. That's Jason Schrank. Full house backfield for Manitowoc. Resba drops back. Have a little screen set up, caught by Vandewater, I believe. Vandewater breaks 1 tackle and is dragged down at about the 44-yard line, close to a 1st down.
Well, they appear to be about 1 yard short. They didn't get a real good spot. Actually, it's about going to be 2 yards. It'll be interesting to see what Fred comes up with here. They're bringing the play in with the sophomore. Real nice call by Coach Heydrich here. Got a middle screen. It's a safe pass play, very short pass for maybe an inexperienced quarterback to throw. Now he'll have some confidence. This is some good blocking up front, but Vandewater makes a play.
4th and 1. Manitowoc Lutheran's going to go for it. The give is to Vandewater, who bangs forward for the 1st down.
It's tough to stop, you know, when he gets a good body lean. Really a good size running back.
Coach Fred Heydrich has to be happy with the way his offense is running the ball so far.
Well, he's run the ball 3 straight 1st downs. He has things under control. I really like the 3rd down play. That was a beautiful call. Middle screen, everything opened up in the middle.
1st and 10, 8:14 to go here in the 1st quarter from Camp Randall. Resbo has his team up to the line. The give is to the 2nd man through. That's Honky. Breaks 1 tackle, fights across the 42, about the 37-yard line.
Well, they line up in a formation that would indicate that they were going to pitch and sweep left, and they brought back a little bit of a counter play to the right. It was a nice call. You could see that Pacelli was trying to play the wide side of the field and got stuck a little bit with it.
Once again, the give was to Honky. Honky, a 1st team on both offense and defense for the Fox River Valley Christian Conference, along with Vandewater. 2nd and 5 for Lutheran from the 36-yard line of Stevens Point. And a whistle stops play here. Looks like it's going to go against Stevens Point.
It looked like one of the Pacelli players had lined up in the neutral zone. It's automatic 5-yard penalty.
And it may give enough for a 1st down. It looks like they may bring the sticks out to measure.
You know, even if the Lancers are fortunate enough to score in this series, they're doing exactly what their game plan would indicate, and that's keeping the ball away from the high-powered offense of Pacelli.
Stevens Point, they're kind of like a Fond du Lac. Oh, now they're going to bring the sticks out. I see they're kind of like a Fond du Lac Springs. Do you think they have the aura about them? And if Manitowoc can prove that they're not going to be afraid of them, and if they can feel they can play with these guys, how will that affect them?
Well, that's what they're doing right now. You know, they're just going toe-to-toe, and they're knocking them off the line of scrimmage. And right now, I'm sure that the coach from Pacelli is very concerned about the fact that his kids aren't stoning the Lancers.
And as you saw, just a little short. It'll bring up 3rd down and inches for Manitowoc Lutheran. 7:29 here to go from Camp Randall in the first period. No score yet. Resba under center, fakes the handoff. Now we'll throw it deep for number 84. That was for Lutheran. Well, Scott Neuser.
Sure, I like the call as an old play action pass on 3rd and 1. Fred knows he's got another chance here at 4th down. They'll run Vandewater on this play or their quarterback sneak. Well played by Pacelli. They didn't go with the fake.
He's got to hope Resba doesn't audibilize out of the quarterback sneak, though.
I'm sure they're learning lessons as they go along.
Give this to Vandewater around right side. Barrels forward, out of bounds at about the 21-yard line.
The play is set up by a good inside fake. There was really no one around the left end to handle Vandewater. If it wasn't for the sideline, I don't think that defensive back would have been able to handle him. See the fake to number 22 is a Ouija up in the hole here, and the inside linebackers will go with that fake, and when he turns the corner to the right, there won't be anyone. You get Vandewater out in the field on a cornerback, he's going to win the battle.
Pitch left to Vandewater. Vandewater cuts it back, and really not much there. They were in on right away.
Yeah, they shot that. We're having a little problem blocking their defensive right end. He's doing a good job of getting penetration. And when you sweep, you got to pin that end in and go around him, and we weren't able to do that.
They will call it a loss of 1 on the play, but however, there is a flag down.
It's going to be holding on the Lancers.
That'll bring up a 1st and 20. Ed Vandewater, 4 carries, 24 yards so far today.
Well, it's a beautiful drive. You hate to see it ruined here as we get down in the red zone. Hopefully we have some things in their bag of tricks that they can pull out.
How disconcerting is that to a coach? You have a drive going, and then it's kind of halted by penalties.
Well, the fortunate thing is it's still 1st down, so you have some work to do. But it is very disconcerting because it kind of breaks up your momentum.
They'll call it a 1st and 22 from the 33. 7:04 here to go in the first period. Lutheran has had the ball so far. There you see Resba under center. Gives the ball to Vandewater. Vandewater met right away.
Pacelli mixing their defense as well. They're playing a 44 next series, so they're playing a 53. Then they jumped into a 7-man front. They're basically bringing 9 men up and only playing the pass with 2. They're having a little bit more success stopping the run. It's be 2nd and 22. Trying a delay against the penetrating defense here is not going to work.
2nd and 22, like we said, from the Stevens Point 33. Resba fake handoff, rolling right, looking down, thrown intercepted by Stevens Point. That was number 32 on the interception, Kevin Sullivan for Point. Kind of hate to see that.
Well, you can see how the penalty hurt him severely, and then when he didn't get anything on 1st down, he was going to take 2 attempts at the pass and try to pick up a 1st down or a possible touchdown. The difference is that they can drop more people into coverage when they expect pass, which they did, and Resba couldn't find an open man.
And Stevens Point will take over 1st and 10 from their own 23. 6:10 to go here in the first period. No score. Jesse Pfluger under center for Stevens Point. And he gave it to the first man through. I believe that was number 32, Kevin Sullivan on the carry.
That was a wing T play where they're trying to establish the fullback trap in the middle, and once they try to establish that, then they're going to give it to their key running back, Ruda, try to sweep around the ends.
2nd and 5 for Pacelli. Pfluger gives it to Ruda. Ruda not much there, tackled by Manitowoc after no gain, really.
Beautiful defense. That's that low, quick penetration where the Lancers are small, but they're quick, trying to negate the size advantage that Pacelli has. Do a beautiful job of getting across the line of scrimmage.
And you brought up a good point there, Greg. Really no.
You can see how low the defenders are for the Lancers. They're playing at waist level. You know, that's just good coaching, good technique by the Lancers. It makes it very difficult to block them.
3rd and 6 for Stevens Point. 5:06 to go in the first period. Pfluger drops back, eludes one tackler. Throws it to the wide open number 86, Jeff Lila. First down and 10 from about the 43.
Oh, it's very unfortunate. They ran a bootleg play, and one of the Lancers broke across the line of scrimmage and had an opportunity to make the play and missed the tackle, leaving the drag defensive end, or the offensive end, across the middle wide open.
As we were saying before, Manitowoc really no big guys on defense. You know, how is that? How tough of a defense is that to play against?
Well, they sure shut down Roncalli this year with their quickness. Their size is at the linebacker spots as opposed to up front.
And Ruda barrels forward for about maybe 5 yards.
You'll see Vandewater going sideline to sideline. It's his job to go wherever Ruda goes, and he's got to have a big day if they're going to plan to stop that rushing attack from Pacelli.
2nd and 5 for Stevens Point. 4:17 to go in the first period here from Camper Randall. No score in the ball game. Pfluger brings his team up to the line. Gives it to the first man up the middle. He could go. He's got one man to beat. That's Karolfi. And he will score a touchdown. Karolfi and number 32 from Manitowoc Lutheran just couldn't catch up with him.
Well, the scary part about this is that was a fullback trap. That's not even their #1 ball carrier. He had enough speed to turn the corner and go in for a touchdown. If the Lancers can't stop that trap, Ruda is going to have a field day going around the ends.
As you said, Sullivan up the middle, kind of undetected.
Well, they ran the trap and they blocked it well. And once I think they got caught keying the other back, who was the #1 kid. And it's going to be very difficult to stop these guys with 2 kids that can run the ball that well.
To attempt the extra point for Stevens Point Pacelli, that will be Sullivan. Extra point is up on the way. It's good. We've got a 7-0 ball game. Stevens Point leads Manitowoc Lutheran with 3:55 left in the first period. We'll be back right after this.
At Maritime, you get the best value on a car or truck. Maritime features 5 of America's top 10 favorites. You also find the up-and-coming Windstar. When you buy from Maritime, you get the VIP package, which means discount oil changes and a lot more. Remember, at Maritime, we will meet or beat all competitors' prices, and you will get the car or truck you want at a price with financing that's very comfortable. So when it's time, Maritime. Maritime Ford Lincoln Mercury, Manitowoc.
7-0. Stevens Point leads Manitowoc Lutheran. 3:55 left in the first period, and they're getting ready to tee it up. That's Kevin Sullivan who will kick off for Stevens Point. Back deep for Lutheran, Seth Honkey.
Well, I think you could already see the effect of injury there with Chris Schwartz not in the ballgame. He's one of the fastest Lancers, and when Sullivan turned the corner, the no defensive back could catch him.
Ball taken by Honkey at the 6. Honkey brings it across the 22, about the 24-yard line.
Good deep kick by Sullivan, high down to the 5-yard line. Good coverage by Pacelli.
Now the thing Manitowoc Lutheran has to do, keep doing what they were doing in that first drive and hope a penalty doesn't stall them.
Well, sure, they had some success on the ground. They got to go back to that, and if, you know, they have to have success with that. They're not a passing team, and we can't expect them to. They're not going to win the game passing the ball.
Seth Resbra, the senior quarterback, brings his team up to the line. 1st and 10 for Manitowoc from the 24. Gives it to the first man through. That's Hansen. Hansen barrels forward for maybe about 2 or 3.
Pacelli's starting to gain confidence. You can feel them getting off the ball a little bit quicker than they did the first series. appeared they may have been a little nervous coming out of the chute, being the first time down here, and didn't have a real good first series defensively, but they seem to be playing a lot more aggressively at this point.
And there's an official's timeout on the field right now. They're discussing something. 2nd and 8. 3:19 to go in the first period. Manitowoc Lutheran down 7-0. Give is to Wagey, squirts through up the middle and is finally brought down after a gain of about 15.
That's a situation where they have 9 men in the box within about 2 yards of the line of scrimmage. And once you get through that first wave, then he's running against the defensive backs. There's only 2 people left. And Weegie's quick. You see the wide splits, creates an automatic hole. Good cut by the running back, and now he's just going to head up to those DBs. Beautiful run.
1st and 10 for the Lancers from their own 41-yard line. Give is to Honke up the middle for about 5.
One man just dragged him down by the ankle. Seth, he's going to break one. I just am so impressed right now with the Lancers coming off the ball, and their splits are making it very, very difficult for Pacelli. I don't think Pacelli is used to seeing these type of splits by the offensive linemen.
How tough is that for a defense when you have the big fullback like Van de Water, then you have Honke, then you have the little guy like Wagey and Hansen thrown in there?
Well, their offense is so deceptive, you don't know who has the ball.
Give is to Wagey up the middle for about 3.
What Fred's trying to establish there is the dive play. They'll run the dive a couple times, and then pretty soon they'll put it in his stomach, they'll take it out, and they'll give it to Van de Water going around the end. There won't be anyone there to tackle him.
3rd and a long 1 from the 50-yard line. Give is to Honke, breaks a couple tackles, fumbles the ball, it's loose on the ground, picked up by Stevens Point. Hate to see that, Greg.
Oh, it's very unfortunate. It was an arm tackle. He almost broke that. He was going to go into the end zone, and all of a sudden the ball was stripped out. He had made it through that initial penetration. It looked like he was going to go, and all of a sudden the arm came around, knocked the ball out, and that was it. You see, it looks like it's going to be a huge play. He breaks through the initial penetration. Looks like he's going to take off and go off to the races. Then one arm tackle, wrap the ball loose. Bad bounce for the Lancers.
Once again, that was number 32, Kevin Sullivan. The man has been unstoppable so far today. 1st and 10, Stevens Point. Give us to Ruda up the middle for about 5.
Running an inside trap out of split backs. They run a diversified offense. One time they'll run the wing T. Next time they'll be in a pro set. They run some power I.
Karofi on the tackle for Manitowoc Lutheran. 1:08 to go here in the first quarter from Camp Randall. Stevens Point leading Manitowoc Lutheran 7-0. Second down and 4 for the Pacelli Cardinals. Gives it to the first man through. That's Sullivan, brought down by Karofi. Nice ankle tackle.
I don't like the way this is developing for the Lancers because the Pacelli's doing such a nice job of establishing that inside trap. That's the key to the wing T. And as I said earlier, once they establish Sullivan, then Ruda's going to, one of these times, he's going to walk around the corner and walk in the end zone.
Okay, we're winding down here at the first quarter from Camp Randall. 7-0 Stevens Point. A Resba interception led to the first Stevens Point touchdown. Now Stevens Point has the ball on a Seth Honke fumble. 1st and 10 from the Lancer 37. The give is to Ruda. Missed tackle, finally brought down by Karofi after a gain of about 5.
A power play off tackle behind their all-state lineman number 75. He's going to kind of go where the ball's going to go. They flip-flop him at times. He's a beautiful blocker, and Ruda takes advantage of that.
And I don't think they're going to be able to get another playoff here in the first quarter. After 1 here from Camp Randall Stadium, it's not good news for Manitowoc Lutheran. Stevens Point leads 7-0.
You and a guest could spend an entire day on the slopes of beautiful Norway Mountain free. Simply be the 5th caller at 1-800-272-5445 and you'll receive tickets for you and a guest to ski free any day this season, where the conditions are always perfect at Norway Mountain, located about 2 hours north of Manitowoc in Michigan's UP. So hurry, call now for your free tickets.
Discover why Scott's Home Improvement is successful in making so many homeowners more than satisfied with their home improvements.
We're really enjoying our new vinyl replacement windows from Scott's Home Improvement.
In fact, we like our windows so much that we're having Scott's replace more of them.
We're so satisfied with our installer's workmanship. It's just excellent.
Our son was so impressed when he saw our new windows that he had Scott's come over and do his home.
Call Scott's Home Improvement today for a free estimate on all your siding and window needs. Taking a look at some first quarter stats, Manitowoc Lutheran really, I guess you could say, dominated in time of possession, 8:15 to 3:45. Manitowoc Lutheran 5 first downs were Stevens Point Pacelli 2, but 2 turnovers have hurt Manitowoc.
Well, the Lancers have beat them soft the first quarter, but they've shown they can move the ball. They'll be all right.
2nd and 5 for Pacelli. Give is to Sullivan. And the Manitowoc Lutheran players are calling for a fumble. Let's see if the referees will agree with them. And they do.
Nice ball.
Recovering the fumble for Manitowoc Lutheran was number 84, Scott Neuser. Big break for Manitowoc Lutheran there.
Well, they have to take advantage now that turnovers should be 2-1. The Lancers are in a position where they can control the football, get back in the ball game.
First and 10 for Manitowoc from their own 31. And the give is to Vanderwater, who barrels forward for about 5 or 6.
See the strength. The strength is amazing. He's taking on 2, 3, 4 people and knocking them back 4 yards. It's just beautiful to see.
Jason Schrank enters the game with the play for Manitowoc Lutheran. And the give is to Hockey, who's brought down after a gain of maybe 1 or 2.
Good interior defense. Pacelli was in the 63 that time. They're selling out against the run, but the Lancers have been doing a good job of blocking them so far.
3rd and 3 for Lutheran. 10:47 to go here in the first half from Camp Randall Stadium on a cold night here in mid-November. Division III state championship game, 7-0 Stevens Point leading Manitowoc Lutheran. Pitch left side, Vanderwater. Vanderwater's got some running room, and he barrels forward for the first down across the 45 to about the 47.
Again, beautiful blocking by Honkey. They were able to turn the corner. They did a good job of down blocking and sealing the inside linebackers, and then they get out there and they get one-on-one on those DBs, and they're punishing. You see the good block by Vanderwater, the ball carrier's brother, and able that play to go.
And it'll bring up a 1st and 10 for Lutheran from the 45-yard line. Full house backfield once again for Lutheran. The give is to the second man through. That's Vanderwater. He'll have another first down. Breaks a few tackles, goes down to about the 31-yard line.
You gotta like what you see. The Lancers are doing a nice job of blocking in the initial line of scrimmage, and the Lancers' backs are doing a good job of breaking tackles on their own.
And like you said, there you said,
how'd you like to be a defensive back about 140 pounds and have that load coming at you? That's a nightmare.
oh, I tell you, I would not like that, especially as you said, Vanderwater built like a Greek god. Appears to be a little shaken up after that play. Vanderwater now with 49 yards rushing on the day.
He won't be out long.
Give is to Wagey. And I believe he may have fumbled, and we'll see who came up with that.
And the Lancers have to get in that huddle and say, guys, you know, we can win this ballgame if we don't beat ourselves. They're making some errors here.
Do you think the fingers might be a little numb down there with the cold temperatures?
I think it's just good hitting that's going on. Some bad bounces, that type of thing. I really don't think the weather's having an effect.
And if Vanderwater, like you said, comes back in, only out for 1 play, you're not going to keep Ed Vanderwater down too long.
Well, he's going both ways, and, you know, he's a do-it-all kind of kid, and this is it for him. He's going to lay it on the line.
Brings up a 2nd and 8 for Lutheran. Pitch left side, Honke. Honke wrestled down at about the 28-yard line.
The Lancers use that play almost like a pass. You know, he just picked it up and gunned it out there. They want to get Honke around the corner to use his speed.
Manitowoc Lutheran with only 3 guys going both ways, and Stevens Point, just looking quickly, I believe have about 7 or 8 going both ways. How will that affect later on in the game?
Probably even more. I think they only have 1 or 2 kids that don't go both ways, and it could have an effect, but these kids are so pumped up and they're in such good condition that I don't think it's going to have that. It's not going to make that big a deal.
Pitch left side, Vandewater met right away.
It seems that when the Lancers block the defensive end, they do well on the pitch. Otherwise, if that defensive end gets too much penetration, the play just doesn't go.
Pickup of 1 on the play. It'll bring up a 4th and 5 from the 27 for Manitowoc. Of course, Fred Heydrich in the 4-down territory. 8:36 to go here in the first half. 7-0. Stevens Point Pacelli leading Manitowoc Lutheran.
Big momentum play for the Lancers.
Resba under center. And kind of a mix-up on the play there. Fumbled the ball, and Stevens Point picked her up.
Lancers missed a block in the interior. Play never had a chance to go. It looked like they're going to run a little scissors play where they pitch it, and it just didn't go. You see an unblocked lineman come in and block or nail Resba before he had a chance to make the pitch to the running back. Very unfortunate for the Lancers.
And Stevens Point Pacelli will take over once again from their own 35-yard line, leading 7-0. Seems like Manitowoc Lutheran moves the ball well until about the 30-yard line. Then they stall a little bit. Pass out from the left side. Guy breaks 1 tackle and is finally dragged down by Jerry Karolfi. That was Adam Morozek, I believe, on the reception for Pacelli.
Missed tackle on the corner cost the Lancers about 10 more yards. See a 3-step drop and a quick out. The play should really go for about a 3-yard gain. Defensive back did a nice job of coming outside in, but he went to his knees too quickly.
1st and 10 for Pacelli. Give to the 2nd man around the left side. That's Rudda, and he's brought down really after about no gain.
And a late flag. It's going to be holding on Pacelli.
.7:35 to go in the first half. Pacelli leading Manitowoc Lutheran 7-0 here from Camp Randall in the WISAA Division III championship game.
Lancers have done a great job of containing Rudda. You know, this kid's gained over 1,500 yards for the year. Sullivan's been the problem.
Sullivan broke the big 52-yard touchdown run in the first down. That has been the only score so far in the game. And after that holding penalty, it'll bring up a 1st and 19 for Pacelli. The give is to Sullivan. Breaks 1 tackle, breaks a couple tackles, and is finally brought down by Tom Vandewater and Grant Wagey.
Defense very well by the Lancers. The Pacelli went to more of a spread look, like they're going to put the ball up. They ran an inside draw. Lancers did an excellent job of stuffing it.
Taking a look at that referee there by the ball. Doesn't look like he's feeling the weather too much today.
That's Eddie Martin. He's my old English teacher from Roncalli.
Pfluger drops back to pass, being chased out of the pocket, throws her down the left side, intercepted and dropped by Manitowoc Lutheran.
Very well defense. They ran a little stop and go with a pump fake by the quarterback. Lancer defensive back didn't bite and ran with him step for step.
Great defense by number 36, Scott Rasmussen, on the play.
You see the quarterback's going to pump fake, and an inexperienced defensive back would go for that. They ran down, out, and up. And you see the defensive back for the Lancers make a nice recovery and almost make a beautiful interception here.
Oh, you bet. Great pressure put on him by Jason Nichols. Pitch right side. They're going to do reverse. Flea flicker, drops the ball, and he is brought down in the backfield by number 62 for Manitowoc Lutheran, Paul Brodke.
I hope Fred Heydrich's heart is in better shape than it was a little while back, because I looked at this, the offensive end running down the field, no red shirt within about 20 yards of him. If they don't screw up the handoff and that quarterback gets the ball back, that's 6 points.
You know, like they always say, when the trick plays work, you'll look like a genius, but a lot of times they don't work for you.
Well, this kid was so wide open, it was unbelievable. The Lancers are extremely fortunate that that play didn't go.
It will bring up a 4th and 31 for Pacelli, and of course they will punt with 5:49 here to go in the first half. Almost blocked, gets it away, taken by the deep man. Great punt. Has a little problem handling the ball. And as Rasmussen breaks a few tackles and rumbles forward to maybe about the 34-yard line.
It's a beautiful punt. You know, the way things are going, I'm sure the Lancers are quite pleased to be only down 7-0. They've been able to move the ball, but they've made some errors that could have been very costly. And as I said, if they pull off that trick play and they were able to make that pass, they can be out of the ball game very quickly. But they've been moving the ball. If they can just keep from beating themselves, they'll be right in it here at halftime.
Only one score in the ball game, 7-0 Stevens Point Pacelli. They scored on a 52-yard run in the first period by Kevin Sullivan. Seth Resba brings his team up to the line of scrimmage, fakes the handoff and throws her out in the flat, and it is dropped by, I believe that was Neuser. Nope, well, Tom Vandewater.
Coach Heydrich trying to take advantage of the 9 men up on the line of scrimmage, with a play action pass on first down. It's an excellent call. See a play action pass here, see the lineman come up. A nice down and out play, just off the outstretched fingers. Good effort by Vandewater.
You know, what is it with Manitowoc? Lutheran has the Vandewater twins and Roncalli has the Culligan twins. Is there something in the water there?
Well, we have the Culligan twins, we have 3 Starks on the team. It's very difficult to tell them apart.
Honky squirts through for about 8 yards, bring up about a 3rd and 2.
Nice crossbuck play by the Lancers, faking to one back and the second back scissors through.
They'll call it a gain of 7. Will bring up a 3rd and 3 for Lutheran with 4:50 to go here in the first half. Grant Wagey brings the play in for Lutheran.
Offensive line's doing a really nice job for the Lancers.
Resba gives it to Honky. Honky's got some running room. Still going and is finally brought down at about the 45-yard line.
I think the Lancers were very fortunate just before the snap. The left guard, I believe, for the Lancers pointed to the man that he was about to block. And I don't know if he was set for a count like he needs to be. No penalty on the play was called. Watch, beautiful split block here. 24 kind of takes himself right out of the play. Some good open field running by Seth.
Seth Honky with 50 yards rushing so far today. Resba drops back to pass, throws her out in the flat to, I believe that is Neuser.
Lancers have the right idea, play action pass on first down. That way Pacelli won't know when to load up on the line of scrimmage. Doing a nice job of mixing it up. They have a nice offensive rhythm going this series.
Gain of 9 on the play, 2nd and 1. 4 minutes to go in the first half from Camp Randall.
Got to believe if the Lancers can punch this thing in, their momentum will be on their side. They'll be in excellent shape for the second half.
Resba up under center.
Safety blitz.
Give is to Wagey, and he'll fight forward for the first down.
Watch that safety from up here coming from about 10 yards deep. He sprinted right into the hole when the Lancers had the play called. Lancers were fortunate enough not to turn the ball over on that play. Watch the top of the screen. You see the safety come right through the hole. Lancers blocked it well, and Wagey ran right past him.
Field looks in pretty good shape today after the snowstorm that they had down here on Friday. 1st and 10 for Lutheran from the 33-yard line. Pitch left side of Vandewater. He's got some running room if he can get by. Fights across to maybe about the 28-yard line. Gain of 5.
Vandewater's deceptively quick for how large he is, too. Did a nice job of turning the corner. And that's really scary when you get a kid that size that can move that well. He can break a lot of tackles.
3:20 and counting to go here in the first half. Ed Vandewater looks like he may be on his way to that first 1,000-yard rushing season of the entire career of Manitowoc Lutheran. Pitch right side, Vandewater. Looks like they may have him strung out. Nice stiff arm, and fights forward to about the line of scrimmage, I believe. Really not much there.
Pacelli did a nice job of stringing the play out. They didn't. They got off the blocks fairly well that time and were able to make the play.
Loss of 1 on the play. 3rd and 6 for Manitowoc Lutheran.
I'm sure Fred's looking at the fact he's got 2 downs to pick up his third down play.
Resba up under center. Gives it to Honke. Honke falls forward for maybe 1.
That time they were running right at an All-State defensive tackle, Mike Eisenrath, 2nd team All-State in the Journal Sentinel paper this morning. He stuffed the play cold.
Bring up a 4th and 5 for Lutheran as Hansen brings the play in.
Exact same spot of the field they were about 10 minutes ago when that defensive tackle knifed through and knocked Resba before he could get the pitch away. Another big play for the Lancers. These are the kind of plays that you win state championships with.
4th and 4. 2 minutes to go in the first half. Resba drops back, flushed out of the pocket. He may be able to run for the first down. He'll be close, and I think he's got it.
What a tremendous effort. In fact, they tackled him and knocked him forward. If they would have tackled him, he wouldn't have made it. They kind of pushed him ahead. A great job by Seth. Very controlled. Broke a couple tackles. Great individual effort.
Great play to not force something there, throwing a ball up in the air and possibly get an interception. 1st and 10, Manitowoc Lutheran from the Pacelli 20-yard line. Honke jumps over one of his own men and fights forward for maybe 2 or 3.
Time becoming a factor with 133, 131 now.
Second and 7 for Lutheran. Fake to Honke, given to Vandewater. Vandewater fights forward for maybe 2 yards across the 15 to about the 13. And I believe Manitowoc Lutheran has called a timeout with the Lutheran Lancers trailing the Pacelli Cardinals 7-0. We'll be back right after this.
For relaxing family dining, visit Cedar Ridge Restaurant. Cedar Ridge Restaurant features everything from steaks, burgers, and salads to Oriental stir-fry, chicken, seafood, and a children's menu. Cedar Ridge also features daily specials and breakfast all day long. And don't forget Cedar Ridge when planning your next party or banquet. Our banquet rooms are large enough to accommodate up to 300 people buffet style. Cedar Ridge Restaurant opens 6 a.m. daily just off I-43 exit 164 in Maribel.
Minute 5 here to go in the first half from Camp Randall Stadium. Fred Heydrich's crew down 7-0, but a pretty balanced rushing attack. Ed Vandewater with 57 yards so far, and Seth Honke 55.
Lancers doing a nice job of controlling the line of scrimmage, and I'm sure a field goal is not in their plans with Lohberger being out this game, so I'm sure Fred wants to put 6 on the board.
3rd and 4 from the 14 for Manitowoc Lutheran. Give is to Honke. Honke will fight forward for the first down across the 10 to about the 8-yard line.
And that delay scissors play right up the middle, doing a beautiful job of controlling the line of scrimmage. With a minute to go, the Lancers knocking on the door.
And that'll stop the clock with the first down.
Equipment timeout.
First and goal from the 8 for Manitowoc Lutheran. Trailing 7-0 here in the WISAA Division III state championship game.
Be a little confusion with Hansen on the field, now Hansen off the field.
Resba gives it to Honke. He's met right away. That was Vandewater, excuse me. And Coach Fred Heydrich wants a timeout. It'll be 2nd and goal from the 8-yard line with 41 seconds to go in the first half. Lutheran trailing 7-0. We'll be back right after this.
The Business Technology Association says Toshiba copiers are the most reliable in America, which means Toshiba copiers are as reliable as Old Faithful. Hey, maybe even more. And nothing's more reliable than your Toshiba dealer. Whoa! So for reliable copiers, fax machines, and Toshiba service and supplies, call Ross Office Machines. Ross Office Machines, your Old Faithful Toshiba dealer.
Okay, well, welcome back to Camp Randall Stadium. Lutheran trailing 7-0. They have the ball at the Pacelli 8-yard line with 41 seconds to go in the first half. If you're Coach Fred Heydrich, what kind of play do you call here?
Well, the previous play, the Lancers went unbalanced right. It didn't really face Pacelli. They didn't have to overshift. They just stuffed the run. You want to look for Vandewater running to the wide side of the field, possibly with some kind of option. You know, the Lancers like to fake Vandewater and then maybe make a pitch to the third back coming out.
Second and goal from the 7 for Lutheran. Resba drops back. He's throwing a fade in the corner of the end zone. Vandewater, he caught it, but he was out of bounds. Great play by Vandewater to bring that ball down.
That was a beautiful catch, just a little bit overthrown. They flooded a zone in the short side of the field. That created a little bit of a problem. They ran out of real estate in that corner.
And that'll bring up a third and goal from the 7.
Lancers like to run a crossing pattern down here with their ends. Little play action crossing pattern in the corner of the end zone.
And you can hear the Pacelli crowd across the way chanting for defense. I'd like to see Manitowoc punch her in here. Resba fakes to 2 men, pitches her out to Honke. Honke across the 5, down at about the 1-yard line.
That was a play they ran that Resba got tackled on, and they made a fumble on 4th and 5. Real nice job of getting a one-on-one situation with Honke sweeping to the right and almost carried it in.
Just missed by a little bit. If you'd have broke that one tackle, Honke would have hit pay dirt.
Lancers out of timeouts. 25 seconds to go. 4th and 1. You got to believe it. They got to put it in Vandewater's hands.
I think so. You don't think Fred Heydrich would dig too deep into his bag of tricks there? With a man like Vandewater, just give it to him and go right up the middle.
Well, you like to go with the kid that brought you to the dance, like the old saying goes, and you know they've been giving it to Vandewater for 2 years in a row. I'm sure they'll give it to him.
And they do give it to Vandewater. He fights forward, and no call yet. And they're going to say he's short. Really not much there from the beginning.
Well, it's a new formation for the Lancers. It's almost like an I situation. They gave it to the best back they had. They tried to pound it up the middle. Just short.
1st and 10 from about the 1-inch line for Stevens Point Pacelli. 18 seconds to go here in the first half.
It's amazing, 1 or 2 inches away from being tied up 7-7 and having all the momentum in the world.
And I don't believe Stevens Point will have to run a play. The clock is running down to 2-1, and that'll do it from Camp Randall here for the first half. Stevens Point Pacelli leading Manitowoc Lutheran 7-0. We'll be back right after this.
Yes, thank you. The answer to all my printing needs? Jiffy Jimmy's Quick Print. Whether it's brochures, forms, or flyers, Jiffy Jimmy is the only printer for me. Their in-house graphics department takes me from concept to final product, while the on-site mailing and labeling facility gets me into the homes and businesses I need to reach fast. For quality, affordable, on-time printing, the answer is Jiffy Jimmy's Quick Print. Yes, I just got it.
Building and remodeling is easy and convenient when you visit Installation Supply Company's spacious showroom. It has the largest in-stock selection of ceramic tile and marble north of Milwaukee. With Avalon floor tile, you can enhance the personality of your kitchen with colored dots. This series features glazed wall tile, matte glazed floor tile in 5 colors, each with border and inserts. With personalized assistance, you'll be confident that your selection will fulfill your needs. Come to Installation and Supply Company, your building supply specialty distributor and ceramic tile designer showroom.
Is your car ready for this? Winterize your car now at Novak Service Center. Tune-ups, radiator service, tires, batteries, and all your car care needs. Because this is Wisconsin, and this is waiting for you. This is not a good way to spend your day. Your belts and hoses should be replaced every 4 years. Replace old worn belts and hoses with quality products professionally installed at Novak Service Center.
Discover why Scott's Home Improvement is so successful in making so many homeowners more than satisfied with their home improvements.
We were so satisfied with the new siding from Scott's Home Improvement that we had them come back and install vinyl replacement windows. These windows are energy efficient, easy to clean, and they've made our home look a lot nicer. We're very pleased with the service we've had from Scott's Home Improvement, and we would recommend them to anyone.
Call Scott's Home Improvement today for all your siding and window needs. Okay, welcome back here to Camp Randall Stadium. It's halftime. The Stevens Point Pacelli Cardinals are leading the Manitowoc Lutheran Lancers 7-0 in a game that, like you said earlier, is inches away from being tied up, Greg.
Well, it's amazing. It's really unfortunate, but I got to really feel good for the Lancers. I'm sure Coach Heidrich feels real positive in that they're out rushing Pacelli. They're controlling the time of possession very well, and if it weren't for just a few mistakes, you know, they'd be winning 7-0 in this game.
Okay, Greg, mentioning the stats, let's take a look here at the halftime stats. Kind of dominated by Lutheran, it looks like.
Well, sure. You see Vandewater with 58 yards rushing, and Hockey with 67. That's some beautiful running and some controlling of the line of scrimmage by the offensive line. Unfortunately for the Lancers, 3 key turnovers. The Sullivan kid broke a trap in the beginning of the game for a 52-yard touchdown run. Other than that, the Lancers have really done a super job defensively of shutting them down. They got a kid, this Ruda kid, who's rushed for like 1,600 yards for the season. He's got 5 carries for only 16 yards. So the Lancers are doing just a wonderful job defensing this team.
Okay, you know, like we're looking at the stats here, Lutheran dominating in time of possession, dominating in rushing, dominating in first downs. Basically, like you said, 3 turnovers. If you're Coach Fred Heidrich, you know, your team was down here last year. What are you telling them right now in the locker room?
Well, you know, stay positive. Just don't beat yourself. You guys, they actually physically have dominated a football game, and when you're dominating a football game, good things are going to happen in the second half. I'm sure that they feel real good about the situation. What can't happen is a key turnover. If they get down 14-0, they're not going to win the football game. If the Lancers score first the second half, they have a wonderful chance to be state champions. I believe if Pacelli scores first, the Lancers aren't going to make it.
An interesting side note, at halftime, talking to one of the other announcers who was right on that goal, and he kind of felt that Vandewater may have been in.
Well, we have a little bit of a bad angle. We're kind of on the right side of the field, but in the goal line that he was going to cross was down in the left-hand corner. We talked to some people at the half who believe that he may have crossed, but, you know, the officials are right there on the play, and it just didn't work out for the Lancers.
You know, there you see the Lutheran Lancers, the gate to state that they're going to be coming through here after halftime. They were here last year. You know, like we said, they lost in that heartbreaking play at the end of the game to Kenosha St. Joe's. A lot of the guys from last year's team are down here supporting the team, like we mentioned earlier. Corey Rodewald, Andy Hillman, Ben Hartman, amongst a whole bunch of others, plus a lot of the community, a lot of the Manitowoc Lutheran fans have made the trip down here to Camp Randall.
Well, I'm sure they take tremendous pride in that. You know, it wasn't too long ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago, where the Lancers didn't win a game in conference for 2 years in a row, and things weren't going their way. But, you know, everything in athletics is cyclical, and the Lancers are on a roll right now.
And they're led by their 2 key seniors, Honke and Vandewater. They also have a couple injuries today. They're playing well without Lohberger. Resma doing a good job leading the troops.
Well, sure, he's doing a wonderful job, and I think Coach Heidrich is helping him by calling play-action passes on first down. And, you know, I think that takes some pressure off of him. It's not like he has to carry the load. He's got good people in the backfield to hand the ball off to, and Coach Heidrich isn't putting him in a position to win or lose the game. Doing a nice job of calling the offensive plays.
Okay, just a few minutes away from kickoff in the second half. Manitowoc Lutheran down 7-0. We'll be back right after this.
Fatso Sub and Pizza. Call or fax in your order. And remember, no matter where you are, we're not far away.
Okay, we're back here at Camp Randall Stadium. The WISAA Division III championship game between the Manitowoc Lutheran Lancers and the Stevens Point Pacelli Cardinals. We talked about Manitowoc Lutheran, what Coach Fred Heidrich was possibly saying to his team in the locker room. Now look at the other side, Pacelli. What is their coach possibly saying to them?
Well, they got to find a way to get rooted in the ball game. I mean, as I said, this kid in one game rushed for 290 yards against the Class B state championship lacrosse Aquinas team. And if they're going to win, I'm sure they're going to try to find some ways to get on the ball in the second half.
Manitowoc Lutheran doing a great job, as you mentioned, holding this high-powered Stevens Point Pacelli offense. Kind of scored, it looks like, 56 fewer points today than they scored in their previous game in the first half.
I am very impressed with the Lancers. As I mentioned, you know, this Pacelli team beat the Class B state championships 35-7, and here they are playing in the championship for Class C, and the Lancers are going toe-to-toe with them. And in fact, you know, they're winning the battle of field position, and they're winning the battle of possession, and they're winning the battle of yardage. Just haven't been able to sneak one over the goal line yet.
Does that the conference that Manitowoc Lutheran plays in, the Fox Valley Christian, how does that conference compare with some of these other conferences? Is that one of the toughest in the state, do you think?
Well, I like to think so. I know that Roncalli has a lot of pride in the FVCC, and of course Springs is a Division I state championship, so we take a lot of pride in that. Springs is obviously head and tails above everyone else, but you know, the Lancers finished second this year, and they had a wonderful team, and FVL had a nice team, and I'm sure that Coach Heidrich and Coach Branchick from Roncalli take a great deal of pride in our conference.
Okay, as we mentioned before, Stevens Point Pacelli ranked number 2 in the state, and as you mentioned, Manitowoc Lutheran playing Final X. Springs might not be in awe of the Stevens Point Pacelli team.
Well, I would think not. You know, from what I've seen, La Crosse Aquinas had a nice team. You know, we went up to their place and they beat us in a real nice ball game. I think those two are the class of that conference, and it gets a little bit weak toward the bottom. But in our conference, you know, other than Lourdes this year, when you go toe-to-toe, you're in for a heck of a ball game with anybody.
Okay, the mission for Manitowoc Lutheran in the second half, score 8 points, a touchdown, and a 2-point conversion, and you win. We'll be back right after this. We're at the WISAA Division III State Championship game here in Camp Randall, just a few minutes away from a kickoff here in the second half. Stevens Point Pacelli leading Manitowoc Lutheran 7-0. Taking a look at some of the other games earlier today, La Crosse Aquinas beat Watertown Luther Prep 14-10 in Division II. And then the game we talked about right before this one, Division I, Fond du Lac Springs and Green Bay Notre Dame. Fond du Lac Springs coming out victorious 21-14 in a hard-fought game.
We're hoping the same thing can happen for the Lancers. Wouldn't it be great to bring home a gold football?
Oh, you bet. 2 state championships from the same conferences. Has that ever happened that you're aware of before in the FVC?
I don't believe so. I mean, I wish it would have happened with Roncalli and Springs or with the Lancers and Springs. It would be great, but I really don't think it's ever happened.
I'd like to see Lutheran start a trend here. And I believe Manitowoc Lutheran will kick off to start the second half. Coach Fred Heidrich all bundled up there on the field in this cold, blustery Sunday night in the middle of November. Like we mentioned earlier, maybe a 70-degree difference in that first day of practice when it could have been 90 degrees back in August.
And as I mentioned earlier too, you know, these kids, they're so wound up, they're so into what they're doing. For them, you know, what's the difference of 70 degrees? They can't feel it.
Kicking off for Manitowoc Lutheran will be number 44, Jason Nichols. Back for Pacelli, Adam Ruda.
Excuse me, you want to try to keep the ball out of the middle of the field here.
Nice kick by Nichols, taken by Ruda at the 5. You bring it up the middle and brought down by the back of the helmet by the Manitowoc Lutheran Lancer at the 25-yard line.
Beautiful, deep driving kick by Nichols. I know that when we played the Lutheran this year, did the same thing against us. I think he kicked 3 out of the 4 kicks into the end zone. This one almost made it.
Lucas Benke on the tackle, 6'1", 180-pound senior from Manitowoc Lutheran.
It'll be interesting to see if Pacelli made any adjustments offensively.
Slugar gives it to Sullivan. Sullivan is brought down after possibly no gain by Manitowoc Lutheran.
The time they use Ruda as a blocking back, he didn't do a very good job. He looks to be a little bit better when he's carrying the ball as opposed to when he's a blocker.
Vandewater and Wagey on the tackle. They're going to say no gain, 2nd and 10 for Pacelli.
Pacelli's not used to having to throw the ball.
We're just underway here in the second half from Camp Randall. Flugar fakes 2 handoffs, drops back to pass, He's going deep. He's got his man open, and he's got it across the 52, about the 40-yard line. That was number 81, Jason Ledden, on the reception.
Nice play-action pass, bootleg left. Wide receiver streaking down the field was actually open by 15 yards. The defensive back got burned badly, but he closed well on the ball. Otherwise, Pacelli would have scored a touchdown on this play. See the offensive receiver having to wait for the football.
Great play action there, and that kind of happens when you have two running backs like Arruda and Sullivan.
Well, they're good.
1st and 10, Pacelli from the Manitowoc Lutheran 41. Pfluger gives it to Ruda. Breaks one tackle, streaking down the sidelines. Nobody's going to catch him for Manitowoc Lutheran. That'll be 6 on the board for Stevens Point Pacelli. They now go up 13-0. Not what you wanted to see if you're a Manitowoc Lutheran fan.
Right, now the Lancers come out, they stuffed them on the first play. They give up a big pass play, and now they give up a touchdown run. That was all individual. If we do get a replay, you'll see them make a beautiful move and go right through 2 Lancers and step right into the end zone.
So 2 long touchdown runs for Stevens Point Pacelli, one by Kevin Sullivan in the first quarter, and now 27 seconds, or excuse me, minute 27 into the second half. Ruda breaks one around left side. Sullivan on to attempt the extra point. And it's good. So Stevens Point Pacelli leads Manitowoc Lutheran with 10:33 to go in the third quarter. We'll be back right after this. Nothing. Stevens Point Pacelli leading Manitowoc Lutheran. We're just underway here in the second half. I'd like to see Lutheran continue what they did in the first half.
Well, I'm sure they'll try to get back on the ground and get their momentum going again.
Honky back deep to receive for Lutheran. Ball retrieved by Honky at the 4, across the 10 to the 20. Honky squirts through to about the 25-yard line.
Lancers get back in the game now. They're going to have to break a big run. They really never trailed all season. They're not a come-from-behind team. You know, they weren't pushed in their preseason schedule, and when they got to the conference, the only team they really fell behind in was the Springs game.
1st and 10 Lutheran from their own 25-yard line. Officials timeout on the field. .10:22 to go in the third quarter. Statistician Stan Dietrich gave us those great halftime stats. We'll see if he can come up with an attendance here sometime between now and the end of the ball game. Resba pitches left side to Vandewater. Vandewater tries cutting it back and is stopped in the backfield by number 85 for Pacelli. That was 86, Jeff Lila on the tackle.
He really did a nice job. I was fortunate enough to be isolated on him a little bit there. He really played off his block well, strung the play out, and then eventually made the tackle.
2nd and 12, Lutheran. Resba fakes a handoff, drops back, rolls, throws a little screen out in the flat to Honky. Honky gains maybe to the back to the line of scrimmage.
And that's why it's really important to get your 3 and 4 yards on first down while the defense is stacked up on the line of scrimmage. Expecting a pass on 2nd down and long, they only played a 4-man front. They dropped about 6, 7, 8 men into coverage. Lancers couldn't find anyone open.
Penalty on the play, and it looks like it went against Pacelli. The official talking it over with Resba. Maybe a break here for Manitowoc Lutheran. And yes, they are walking it off against Pacelli. It'll bring up a first down. Not really sure what the flag was there.
Had to be some type of personal foul.
First and 10 from the 37. Maybe the break that Manitowoc Lutheran needed to get their offense going here in the second half. Resba up under center. Gives it to Hockey up the middle, cuts it back. He's got some running room, goes outside and is dragged down at the 50-yard line.
Now Seth has that innate ability to make beautiful cuts. He's got the swivel hip, very difficult to tackle one-on-one.
Nice first down run there by Hockey.
You see him break through the hole, and then he gets a one-on-one situation with the defensive back. He gives a little shake and bake with the hip, leaves the kid cold. Beautiful run, dips it to the outside.
Nice block out there by the big guy, number 74, Craig Hope. 1st and 10, Lutheran from their own 49-yard line. Give is to, I believe that was Hansen. Hansen squirts through for a gain of maybe 4, but there's a flag on the play. 8:50 to go in the 3rd quarter. Stevens Point Pacelli leading Manitowoc Lutheran 14-0.
A big penalty against the Lancers.
Didn't catch what it was. Was that a hold?
It's a hold. It's going to be about 1st and 15 or 1st and 20. One adjustment the defense has made for Pacelli at halftime is they're playing their ends head up on the Lancers offensive ends, which is going to take away that sweep play. The Lancers are going to have to make some hay running inside the second half.
Hansen bringing in the play for Manitowoc Lutheran. 1st down and 18. Resba breaks the huddle and brings his team up to the line of scrimmage. Tom Vandewater flanked left. Screen pass to Hockey. Hockey is brought down after no gain.
Very well defensed. Again, they're dropping more people back into coverage, knowing that the Lancers are going to have to throw. It's going to make it very difficult to find an open man. Lancers are doing a good job, though. They're trying to get the ball in the hands of some people that can break the big play for them.
Loss of 2 on the play. It'll bring up a 2nd and 20 for Manitowoc Lutheran. Resba gives it up to Hockey. Hockey almost breaks a tackle, fights forward for maybe 3.
Lancers trying to spread them out, trying to hit a quick dive.
Gain of 5 on the play. It'll bring up 3rd and 15 for Lutheran.
Here's where Coach Heidrich has to dig into that bag of tricks that you referred to in the first half.
Resba up under center. Hockey in motion. Resba rolls right, eludes one tackler and is dragged down at the 35-yard line. Big play by the Pacelli defense.
It's All-State kid, number 76. He's a load. He just blew past 3 Lancers and made a sack. I guess that's why he was elected to the 2nd team All-State defensive team. You see him shed with a good arm over technique. That's the difference between an average player and an All-State player.
We'll bring up a 4th down for Lutheran. First time they're going to punt all day, and back deep to punt for Lutheran is Seth Hockey. Hockey gets a nice punt off. Will drive the receiver back to the 28-yard line, eludes the first man, and has got some room down the left sideline. Nice tackle at the 40-yard line.
Beautiful open field tackle.
Grant Wagey.
Right, the Lancers have missed some of those tackles by their defensive backs. This was a beautiful open field tackle.
41-yard punt by Hockey. Not bad for their backup punter.
See a nice driving punt. You'll see Ouija come out of nowhere, hit him nice and low. Nice open field hit.
6:13 to go in the 3rd period. 14-0 Pacelli. Give up the middle. Sullivan. Sullivan brought down after a gain of maybe 5.
Pacelli certainly has a nice combination there. They have a good size Sullivan that they can pound inside, and they have the quickness and elusiveness of Rhoda running off tackle.
2nd and 6 for Lutheran. Pacelli.
See Jarek Karolfi limping around a little bit out there. You hope he's not affected too badly.
Flugar up under center for Stevens Point. Pacelli fakes it to Sullivan, gives it to Ruda around left side. He's got some running room down the sidelines, breaks a few tackles across to the 45.
That was the first time we saw the power eye offense that Roncalli likes to use. With Ruda as the eye back, they're going to down block everybody and try to kick out. The lead back, you see 20 kicking out. Running back, Ruda dips it outside, and boy, he has an ability to make that first kid miss. It's not so much, I don't think the Lancers doing a bad job of tackling as much as a very nice individual talent by Ruda.
Brings up a 1st and 10 for Pacelli from the Lutheran 45-yard line. 1st and 10 with 5:07 to go in the third. Give to Sullivan. Fights forward for the first down. Not much you could do about that one.
Well, they're running an inside trap, and they fake a pitch and bring it back to the inside. The Lancers are getting cut up a little bit on the inside now.
The big guy seems to have a little bit of speed in him, too.
Well, he certainly did when he broke that touchdown run. I was very impressed. It's like Pacelli's starting to wear on the Lancers a little bit.
They'll call it a 13-yard gain by Sullivan. Flugar gives it to Ruda around left side. He's going to be gone. One man to beat. He knocks him out of bounds. Great play by number 90 for Manitowoc Lutheran.
When the Lancers watch this tape, they're going to be disappointed in themselves because the coaching staff has put some of the players in position to make the play, but they're missing some tackles. See a nice kick-out block there, but right here, you see a beautiful cut, but those are some plays that the Lancers are going to have to make in order to stay in the ball game.
Nice play by Dan Nolte to stop the touchdown, knocking Ruda out of bounds.
He's an impressive running back.
1st and goal from the Lutheran 8 for Stevens Point. Pacelli up 14-0. Pitch left side, Sullivan. Sullivan is stopped after maybe a gain of 1.
It appears that Ruda doesn't have the breakaway speed that, for example, an Aaron Golden would have, but he certainly has that elusiveness that all good running backs have.
.4:10 to go in the third period from Camp Randall, the WISAA Division III state championship game. Lutheran trailing 14-0 as we speak. 2nd and goal, Pacelli from the 7. Flugar gives it to Ruda around right side. Ruda breaks a few tackles and barrels his way over Honke into the end zone.
Great individual effort. You see, he didn't have the speed to take it outside, but he had that, he made a nice cut. And once he got his shoulders parallel to the line of scrimmage, he hammered away at it.
A 6-yard run by Ruda makes it 20-0 Pacelli.
Sign of a good running back, knowing when to cut it up. Get your shoulders square, get them down low, get your feet pumping.
Sullivan now on to attempt the extra point. Interesting, he has to change his shoe there from the running shoe to, I guess, the kicking shoe here to attempt the extra point. Kick is up on the way, and it's good. With the Pacelli Cardinals leading the Manitowoc Lutheran Lancers 21-0 with 3:50 to go in the third period. We'll be back right after this. Back deep for Lutheran. Ball is taken, though, by number 30, I believe that was. 36, Scott Rasmussen on the kick return for Lutheran. Returns it to both the 36-yard line with that 6-yard touchdown run by Ruda. Added to his 41-yarder earlier in the period. He is now over 100 yards for the day. Kind of a quiet 100, I would have to say.
Well, we'll see what Resba can do as far as throwing the football. I'm sure Coach Heidrich is going to have to start to crank things up here a little bit.
3:30 left in the third period. 21-0. Stevens Point Pacelli leads Manitowoc Lutheran. Resba drops back, really nowhere to go, and is dragged down at the 27-yard line.
All-State, number 76. Very difficult kid to block, and he's making plays all over the football field.
Kind of sense a Stevens Point Pacelli, they have the momentum right now. Manitowoc Lutheran must do something to change that.
Well, they're not used to, as I said, being behind. It's really not their game. It's going to be very, very difficult for them. They're going to have to do a heck of a lot better job of blocking Mike Eisenrath, though.
Nice handoff, Vandewater up the middle, breaks a few tackles and slips down at about the 48-yard line. Nice run of about 20 yards to get him the first down.
A nice run and an outstanding hole carved out on the right side. Beautiful blocking. No one was within 6 or 7 yards of Vandewater until he was about 10 yards down the field. For some reason, it looked like Pacelli dropped back into pass coverage expecting a pass. Good call. A beautiful run.
First and 10, Manitowoc Lutheran from their own 48-yard line. Give us to Honky, and he's met right away, no gain.
That time on first down, Pacelli put 9 men in a down position on the line of scrimmage.
And if you haven't done it yet, you saw that 1-800 number on the Norway Mountain commercial. Get up, call that number. If you're calling number 5, you get 2 free ski passes, good anytime during skiing season up at Norway Mountain. $1:55 to go in the third. 2nd and 9 for Manitowoc Lutheran. Pitch right, Honky. Really nothing there again. He was met right away.
Very well defense. The defensive back came up from the corner, held his position, just was waiting for Honky to come around and made a beautiful one-on-one tackle. Lancers had run that play earlier for a gain of about 10-15 yards, but this time Pacelli was ready for it.
Number 98 for Lutheran checking into the ball game with the play. That's Jason Schrank. See what Fred Heydrich called on a 3rd and 11. Resba pitches left side, Vandewater. Vandewater cuts it back across the 50, is met and takes it forward to about the 48.
I think he did the meeting there. There's going to be some train whistles blowing there and a couple of those Pacelli defensive backs' helmets.
It'll bring up a 4th and 6, and Coach Fred Heydrich has to go for it here, I would think.
Oh, there's no doubt.
40 seconds to go in the third period, down 21-0.
Yes.
And they drop Honky.
Oh, there's there's a possibility of a fake, or they're hoping for a turnover, drop punt.
Honky's going to fake it. He's going to throw it. He's got a man wide open across the 40. Gets the first down. Penalty flag on the play. We'll have to see what it is. If it's not against Manitowoc Lutheran, it'll be a first down.
It's going to be against Lutheran because the back who was clearing out for the receiver was blocking while the ball was in the air. It's going to be a penalty. It's going to bring the Lancers back. It's going to be offensive pass interference. You watch the end on the left here. He's going to make contact with the defensive back while the ball is in the air. That created an opening for the underneath man who's going to catch the ball. Unfortunately for the Lancers, it's an illegal play. And it was a good call by the officials.
Kind of surprised a few folks. Maybe a lot of people thought maybe Honky would have ran it. He's got the ability to throw it. Nice catch by Schwartz there. But unfortunately, the pass interference call. 18 seconds to go in the third.
It was a good call. It was a very well executed play. It's just that unfortunately there was some contact made by the Lancers while the ball was in the air. Now what happens here is it's a loss of down because of offensive pass interference. And the Lancers won't have an opportunity to punt, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right there. It looks like Pacelli's offense is on the field. They're going to call it 1st and 10. Stevens Point from the 38-yard line of the Lutheran Lancers.
Very costly penalty.
And it doesn't look like Pacelli is going to run a play here in the third period as we have time winding down. We're at 3, and you can see the Pacelli players kind of telling their fans to get up. So after 3, 21-0, Pacelli leads Manitowoc Lutheran.
Lucy thought she'd found the man.
Hey, we're back. There's a shot of I don't know if that's a dorm across the way or what. You're gonna have to watch where you're shooting there. I don't know if that's Jeff or Dwayne down there on it. Maybe looking for the Packer game, but that was earlier today. Great outcome for the Packers. We were saying on the way down here, let's hope the Packers don't lose, or you might have two depressed announcers.
Well, you have two very happy announcers. We had the Badgers with a great victory. We had the Packers with a great victory. Things haven't gone well for the Lancers so far, but hey, you never know. A lot of time left. We need a turnover. Maybe something can happen.
21-0. Stevens Point Pacelli leads Manitowoc Lutheran as we speak. Fourth quarter just underway. Flugar gives it to Sullivan up the middle. Barrels forward for maybe about 5.
We can see how difficult they are to defense when they fake that quick pitch to a kid who's gained 1,700 yards and they bring it back inside to a kid that's gained 1,100. Very, very difficult to defend that.
Kind of reminiscent to maybe, like we mentioned earlier, maybe the Lincoln High teams of the 80s with the Bob Browns and the Jeff Backlers in that era.
Well, what they, those are two good examples because they'd pound Brown inside and then they'd pound Brown inside and then they'd pound him again. All of a sudden they give the ball off to a quick kid and off he goes around the end.
2nd and 4. Give to Rudda around right side. Almost looked like he was going to pass.
There's our turnover.
On the play.
Okay,
and they're going to give it to Lutheran. Great defensive play by Manitowoc Lutheran to force the turnover.
Defense has done their job. We're hoping for a turnover. A little momentum change here, we hope. Get that ball to Honky and let him break one.
1st and 10. Ball on the 29-yard line for Lutheran. That was the break that Manitowoc Lutheran needed, and we'll see if they can capitalize. Resba drops back, throws her out in the flat to Neuser, brings it in after a gain of maybe 11. 1st down, Lutheran.
Beautiful play action pass. On 1st down, Resba's really done a nice job of running this offense in the absence of Lohberger. You see him step up and throw it a beautiful lead here. Now, if that pass is thrown anywhere but there, the white shirt's going to pick it off and go into the end zone. That was a beautiful pass by Seth.
They're going to call it a 2nd and 1 for Lutheran. Give to Wagey up the middle. Fights forward for the 1st down across the 40 to the 43.
1st down. Now you probably see Coach Heydrich throw the ball again on 1st down because he's noticed that Pacelli has brought up a lot of men on the line of scrimmage up on 1st down defense.
10:56 to go here from Camp Randall. Lutheran trailing 21-0. Need to punch her in on this drive. Hansen joins Vandewater and Honky in the backfield. They give it to Honky. Honky goes to about the 45-yard line.
You know, with the numbers that Pacelli puts up offensively, sometimes it overshadows a great defense, and they certainly seem to be flying to the football very well. Lancers running misdirection. It's 89 unblocked. Makes a nice play. Defensive end, number 89 for Pacelli, has played a very, very good ball game.
Gain of 2 by Honky brings up 2nd and 8. Pitch around left side. Vandewater has a little trouble catching the ball and is dropped for a loss of maybe 5.
As Jeff Leo, the defensive end on the other side that time. You see that defensive end get off his block. He's been playing head up. He comes to the inside there a little bit. Offensive end for the Lancers not able to block him, and he's making a wonderful play to the outside.
They'll call it a loss of 6. Brings up a 3rd and 14 for Lutheran from their own 38-yard line. 9:39 to go in the ball game. Resba drops back, gets rid of the ball, and Honky recovers it at about the 18-yard line.
And there's a case where Seth was just trying to make something happen in his desperation situation. The defender split his seam and grabbed him around the ankle instead of just eating it like he knows he should have. He tried to make something happen that wasn't there. See the defensive back or defensive lineman split his seam right there. You just got to eat it. I know he's trying to make something happen, doing the best he can. Didn't work out very well for the Lancers.
That was Adam Rudda, who had Resba's anchor. We talk about him on offense, and there he comes up with a big play on defense.
Well, in schools these size, you know, your best player is going to play both ways, and he's doing a heck of a job on both sides of the football.
Honky into punt for Lutheran. And almost blocked, gets it off, and is retrieved. Actually rolls dead at the 46-yard line. 8:34 to go in the ball game. 21-0. Stevens Point Pacelli leads Manitowoc Lutheran. And do we have any word on the attendance count yet, Stan? Flugar up under center for Pacelli. Drops back to pass, sets up a screen, and nothing doing there.
They ran the same play that the Lancers had success with in the first series. They just overthrew that one and looked to be open in the middle. Not a very good play by the quarterback. Kind of a strange call when you're up 21-0 to be throwing on first down.
8:12 in, counting to go in the ball game. Manitowoc Lutheran needs a couple turnovers here. They're down by 21.
In the wing T formation, they're either going to pound Sullivan on the trap or hand off wide to Rudda.
And they give it to Sullivan up the middle, cuts it back right, goes forward for maybe 2. Ed Vandewater on the stop for Lutheran. They'll bring up the 3rd and 8 for Pacelli.
Vandewater, first team all-conference player, both offensively and defensively. Has a wonderful career for the Lancers. I'm sure Coach Heydrich feels honored to have coached such fine athletes the last couple years.
3rd and 8. It's just given a little stat here by Stan Dietrich. I'll read it after the play. Flugar drops back. He's got a receiver open, and he dropped it. 4th and 8 it'll bring up.
Nice square out pattern on the right side. Quarterback threw a pretty good ball that time. Receiver dropped it. See a nice square out route. Quarterback threw the ball in a timing route before the offensive end made his cut.
And
couldn't quite come up with the ball.
We've got an official timeout for an injury. Stevens Point Pacelli leading Manitowoc Lutheran 21-0 with 7.5 to go in the ball game. We'll be back right after this. Answer on the play was number 84. Scott Neuser got up under his own power. 4th and 8 for Stevens Point Pacelli, and they will punt back deep for Manitowoc Lutheran. Appears to be Honky and Rasmussen. Nice punt taken by Honky, calls for a fair catch at the 13-yard line. And the Manitowoc Lutheran Lancer offense will take over there with 7:20 to go in the ball game. Ed Vandewater with 74 yards rushing so far. And the attendance tonight, as Stan Dietrich guessed, 1736. Stan says give or take 1,500 on the attendance. I don't know if Stan counted them himself or what. New quarterback in for Lutheran. That's Nichols, and they run the option. Goes forward for 11 yards. Excuse me, Brent Hansen, the new quarterback.
Brent has been listed as a starting running back this game. He looks like an option type quarterback with some good quickness.
And there's an injured Pacelli Cardinal down on the field. And with that, with 7:14 to go, and with the score 21-0, we'll be back right after this. Some of the many fans in attendance here tonight. Looks like about 5 or 6 of the 1736, or give or take 1,500, like we said before. But Hansen ran that option before. I would say if Lohberger was a senior, you'd possibly see Coach Fred Heydrich run the option, the wishbone next year.
Well, the option is part of their base offense, really. But they're so good with the first and second backs. They don't have to worry about that third and fourth option. But I'm sure Coach Heidrich is getting a look at a young sophomore here. He'll probably play. He's a good athlete. He'll play running back next year with Lohberger coming back as quarterback.
The injured Pacelli Cardinals still on the field. 7:14 to go here in the ballgame from Camp Randall. The WISAA Division III championship game earlier today. In Division II, La Crosse Aquinas defeated Watertown, I believe it's Luther Prep, 14-10. And in Division I, Fond du Lac Springs defeated Green Bay Notre Dame, 21-14 in Division I. Two teams that the area people are familiar with, Notre Dame and Springs.
Very much so, you know, and that calls to mind the fact that how good this Pacelli team is. We had talked about them being rated in the state second behind Springs. They're probably the second best private school football team in the entire state right now. And the Lancers, you know, for the first half went toe-to-toe with them and did a beautiful job.
Number, I believe that's 66, Ken Kershevsky, being escorted off the field under his own power, though, which is a good sign. As the Lancers break the huddle, Hansen brings his team up to the line of scrimmage, trailing by 21. The referee sets the clock in motion, 7:12 and counting to go in the ball game. Hansen really nowhere to run there, gain of maybe 2.
Coach Heidrich trying to take advantage of his running skills.
They'll call it a gain of 1, 2nd and 9 for Manitowoc Lutheran.
Pacelli, a very difficult team to run against. You know, defensive ends are both about 6'2" and 190, 200 pounds apiece.
Hansen fakes a handoff to Wagey, throws it out right side, little short there. Pass intended for number 84, Neuser.
Just a little quick with the setup. Didn't give the play quite a chance to develop.
6:30 to go, trailing by 21. Time appears to be maybe running out on the Lancers. Schwartz brings the play in for Manitowoc Lutheran as Wagey trots off. 3rd and 9. Hansen fake handoff, a little mix-up with Vandewater there. Faked it to either Honky or Wagey, and Vandewater couldn't find a handle on it. They fumble it. Stevens Point Pacelli takes over on their own 25, or on the Lutheran 25.
Now they're working with sophomore quarterback, who I'm sure didn't get a lot of reps this week. So the timing on this play was off. Fake a pitch, bring it back to the inside. He got the ball on the hip of the running back. It's always difficult when your quarterback doesn't get a lot of reps of practice during the week.
Flugar still in there for Stevens Point Pacelli. Gives it to Rudda around right side. Barrels across the 20 down to the 18.
Pacelli in the power eye, content to hammer away. I'm sure they're not as interested in scoring here as eating up the clock. Things well in hand for them.
Gain of 6, we'll call it a 2nd and 4 for Pacelli from the Lutheran 18. Flugar gives it to Sullivan, who rambles to about the 15.
Sullivan's been impressive. He broke that long run in the first half. 52-yarder. Big kid, good speed.
We'll make a 3rd and 1 for Pacelli with 5 minutes to go here in the ball game in the WISAA Division III championship game. Manitowoc Lutheran trailing 21-0. Flugar gives it to Rudda up the middle, and it'll be close to the first down.
Appears to be a little bit short. It's a good defensive line play by the Lancers.
And I think you're right, it appears to be short. It'll bring up a 4th and 1. for Pacelli. The clock is still running, 4:25 and counting.
Watch how low the defensive linemen for the Lancers come across.
And the give is to Rutta, and he may not have gotten it. It'll be close.
Lining up in the power lines, tried to muscle it off tackle to the right. Lancers hoping for a good spot.
And I think they may have to bring out the sticks on this one. 4:10 to go in the ball game. Lutheran trailing 21-0. And yeah, Lacrosse Aquinas got that first down.
Lead official Adrian Martin with his shades on there, signaling for a first down.
Stevens Point Pacelli got the first down, now Watertown Lutheran. I'm still a few hours behind here. .359 and counting from Camp Randall. First and 10, Pacelli. Give to Ruda up the middle. No gain on the play.
You have to believe that the Lancers leaving that ball 1 inch short. The last play before the first half took a lot of emotion out of them. Pacelli came out in the second half and got the ball to Ruda.
Yeah, you know, I think you're right. Going into the locker room down 7 rather than tied, you know, Manitowoc Lutheran, you know, they dominated basically the first half, but they were down 7-0. If they would have went and tied, it may have been a different story there. Second and 10, Pacelli. Give us to Ruda. Off tackle, and nobody's going to get him. It'll make it 27-0. Stevens Point, Pacelli.
Lancers selling out at the line of scrimmage. They run a kick-out block with the guard pulling. Once he crossed the line of scrimmage, there was nobody home.
And I believe the celebration for Stevens Point Pacelli can begin, but you feel bad for Manitowoc Lutheran, but they really did have a good season.
Well, you know, they were here 2 years in a row, and I'm sure they're disappointed in the fact they weren't able to bring home the gold, but I'm also sure that their kids gained a lot from the experience.
Sullivan in to attempt the extra point. Splits the uprights, and that'll make it 28-0 with 3:08 left in the ball game. We'll be back right after this. .28-0. Stevens Point Pacelli leads Manitowoc Lutheran. You can see them celebrating across the way. 3:08 to go in the ball game. It may hurt now for Manitowoc Lutheran, but something they'll look back on years from now and they'll say, hey, we got down here 2 years in a row. How many teams have actually done that? Honke, Rasmussen, and Hansen back deep for Lutheran. Ball is taken by Rasmussen across the 20, up to the 25, across the 30, squirts through to about the 35-yard line.
Hit a nice little seam in the middle, some good blocking by the special teams for the Lancers.
And it looks like wholesale changes here for Lutheran.
You watch the wedge in the middle here. We're going to see a good kickout block right there. A nice little seam develop. Just didn't quite have enough speed to get up in there.
It appears Fred Heydrich has brought in a lot of his seniors to get them up here on the carpet in Madison, get the experience. And it looked like they may not have been set there.
He's got an entire new backfield in there.
See number 14, Jason Beck, a sophomore back there.
It's great that those kids can get a chance to get a little exposure and play on the carpet. You know, that's something that they can take with them for the rest of their life. It's going to be a beautiful memory for them.
Jason Nichols, number 44, also in for Lutheran. First and 15 for Lutheran. 2.5 minutes left in the ballgame. Hansen still in at quarterback. And the give was to, not really sure what happened there.
Now they tried to run the first option of their offense, which is the dive, and it got stuffed pretty good.
Coach Heydrich bringing in a whole new offensive line right now. Get them out there. And a big hand is, you can hear the Lutheran fans in the background for this starting line as they come off the field.
That line has been starting for 2 and 3 years. They've really done a nice job offensively for the Lancers.
And the give was to, I believe, Beck. And I think he may have fumbled, and Pacelli recovers the fumble with 1:42 to go in the ball game. (28-0). Stevens Point Pacelli leads Manitowoc Lutheran with 1:40 and counting left here in the ball game.
The Lancers did a lot of nice things. They have a timeout called by Pacelli. They ran the ball very well at times in the first half. They showed that they could control the line of scrimmage. They had some unfortunate penalties and turnovers that hurt them. But, you know, I thought they did a very good job for the most part. I'm sure they executed Coach Heydrich's game plan. But you can't, you know, turnovers are such a key part of any football game, and they really aided Pacelli.
Oh, you bet. How many times, you know, have you seen it? The team with the most turnovers most of the time loses the ball game. And, you know, Manitowoc Lutheran really can't say enough about the way they played this season. Losing to Final X Springs, the #1 team in the state that took home the Division I championship. And now losing to Pacelli, the #2 rated team in the state. So, you know, if you're a Manitowoc Lutheran player or fan, you can almost say you possibly are the 3rd best team in the state.
And they played Springs, you know, a lot tougher than most teams did this year. Coach Highland making the comment that they hadn't been blocked as well as the Lancers had blocked them by any team in our conference for years. A great tribute to a really good offensive line.
Plus, you have to give credit to Coach Fred Heydrich and his coaching staff for getting his team prepared not only for the Springs game, but also for today.
Well, I know our coaching staff at Roncalli respects Fred and his staff tremendously. I'm really impressed with their line coach. He does a wonderful job of keeping their kids low, keeping their feet moving and driving. And, you know, he's taking kids away 165 pounds and going up, and they're giving away 20, 30 pounds per man at times, and they're winning the battle.
Andy Cashin brought down in the backfield by John Lemke for Manitowoc Lutheran.
See some nice individual penetration there. Good one-on-one tackle.
35 seconds and counting here in the WISAA Division III championship game. Stevens Point Pacelli leads Manitowoc Lutheran 28-0, and this will be the final play of the game. And they give it to number 21, that is Ty West, brought down by number 72 for Manitowoc Lutheran, John Menges. And that'll be the last play of the ball game. I believe the Pacelli Cardinals are celebrating as we speak. 5 seconds to go in the ball game. 28-0, Stevens Point Pacelli defeats Manitowoc Lutheran here from Camp Randall in the WISAA Division III championship game. Congratulations, Stevens Point Pacelli. We'll be back right after this. Final in the WISAA Division III championship game. Stevens Point Pacelli 28, Manitowoc Lutheran 0. You know, you feel bad for Manitowoc Lutheran losing 28-0, but they did have a great season, 10-2. Got down to Madison 2 years in a row. You can't say enough about the way the Lutheran Lancers have played today, last year, and the entire season.
Well, I know, just representing Roncalli and representing the Fox Valley Christian Conference right now, that we're extremely proud of the Lancers and the show they put on down here. And the last 2 years, last year, as I mentioned in the pregame, they got the heart ripped out of them. They had the championship. It won in the last minute. It was stolen from them. And to come back and get back to the carpet this year is a wonderful accomplishment by Coach Fred Heidrich and his staff.
And there you see Resba taking Jeff Lohberger's place today. Lohberger was hurt out with the injury. Resba really played well, I thought.
He did a very nice job. And again, the Lancers were fortunate that they had a kid who could step up, a senior, provide some good leadership, and didn't show any pregame jitters, and did a nice job.
And also a couple other seniors who stepped up big, who have stepped up all year. Vandewater, Honky, Nolte, like we said, Chad Cordy out with an injury. Their whole offensive line is also seniors, and you can't say enough about the way they played the entire season.
Well, looking at it from a little bit of a selfish standpoint, I'm glad they're all graduating because they're some tremendous athletes, and they had a great run.
28-0, like we said. Stevens Point Pacelli being handed the gold trophy as we speak. Adam Rutta and Kevin Sullivan. Big games for Stevens Point Pacelli. And Greg, do you have some final statistics here for us?
Well, Rutta ended up with 124 yards, and he only had, what did we say at halftime, 16 yards. So we had a huge second half. And, I noticed that they just gave the MVP to that all-state defensive and offensive tackle, Eisenrath, who really played a wonderful game. Really, he controlled the line of scrimmage himself in a lot of cases and did a nice job.
As far as Manitowoc Lutheran, how about their final stats?
Well, they rushed the ball 196 yards, and they were 5 for 10 passing for only 27 yards. That hurt them a little bit. They didn't have the ability to come back once they got down 14-0. And I said at the half that the team that scores first in the second half is going to be the key, and they came out and gave Rutta the ball, and he kind of put it in the Lancers' face there, and it was very difficult for the Lancers to come back from that.
Greg, it's been a pleasure doing the ball game with you. I enjoyed it. 28-0, Stevens Point Pacelli defeats Manitowoc Lutheran. We'd also like to thank the entire crew: Jeff Macho Man Siricati on camera, Dwayne Sterling Marlin on camera, Rob Engelblade in the truck, along with Rick Van Delly, Tom Shimonik in the truck, Stan Dietrich. We'd also like to thank Greg Yankee filling in for Greg Yankee and the entire Joel